Ladies and gentlemen, today's module is one that I wish I had when I first started my agency, because if you have ever read a book called Power versus Force, there's certain phases where you just need to put the brute force in and it's going to yield results. Things like cold calling, cold email, looms. This is brute force. And as I said, it gets results. It works. Don't discredit it. But then there's stuff that is a really slow burn. And for a while it's a slow burn. And for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you're not seeing explosive results. But by the time it gets to 12 months, it's a system that yields so much for you. And that's really what a profile funnel does for you. So in today's module, we are going to be looking at the high-level overview of the profile funnel and how to execute it. And in today's module, as I said, we are going to be talking about the profile funnel. Now, in today's teaching, we are going to go over why outreach is a multi-track activity, what is a profile funnel, how to warm up / bring inbound leads, content guidance and market message, engaging plus connecting with prospects, moving the conversation to a meeting, as well as the profile funnel plug and play. So first things first, I really need you to understand a high-level concept when it comes to outreach. You see, what a lot of agency owners don't understand is that outreach is not this linear thing, okay? It doesn't follow one track. You switch tracks multiple times within an interaction. Now, you might speak with a prospect on multiple platforms, right? So multi-platform strategy, but also switching track entails using different tools in your arsenal. For example, you might send a loom, but depending on what platform you're on, you might also send a voice note or a video message or an audit, etc., right? These are all different tracks you can switch the interaction to. You need to understand that outreach, and because people get so caught up on like, what's your outreach method, this and that. You need to understand that outreach is simply a medium to deliver a message in front of a prospect. And out of that equation, the most important thing is the prospect and the message, okay? Prospect, message. The medium is really just the way that you're trying to deliver it to the location, right? Let me give you an example. As many of you guys know, I have an e-commerce brand, Gadget, right? And we make these badass blue light blockers, as you guys know. So we've got product and we've got audience. I'll kind of use an example of a different industry, as I said, when it comes to e-commerce. We've got product and then we've got the market, right? Or customers. The most important thing are the customers and the product, okay? And then when it comes to delivery of it, they don't necessarily care if the glasses get to them via boat, via plane, right? And it's kind of the same thing when it comes to outreach. Your prospects don't necessarily give a shit, right? Whether you reach out to them on LinkedIn compared to email or this, that, you just need to know your ideal prospects well enough to know which platform is best suited to them and which platform are you most likely to catch them on. Or you take a totally different other stance, which is like, hey, everyone's probably going to reach out to them this way. Let me try and kind of go in through a back door. And while the whole army is taking the left flank, I'll take the right. This is really an important lesson for you to take into every single module of this program, right? As I said, understanding that your outreach method is simply a way to deliver a message to a prospect, but this is especially important when it comes to building up your profile funnel. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some of the specifics. Now, what is a profile funnel? A profile funnel is a way of getting either inbound or warm leads. And as I said, this is a really sort of medium to long-term strategy, but it's a great strategy to implement from day one because it's a very, very slow burn to start off with. But 6 months, 12 months down the line, like I literally have friends of mine who have 5,000 Facebook friends or 5,000 followers on Twitter and have 7-figure agencies because of it. Like just because they have almost this like insane like niche following on these platforms. Okay. And really what a profile funnel is they're, building up a bit of an audience, right? So building up a niche personal brand, you can say. But then with that, like, what are you actually doing, right? Because then you actually have to be cognizant of the content that you're posting and make sure that it's a content that is sparking up conversations, is leading to conversations that's in a sales environment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if I had to start all over again, what I would do is I would, from day one, I would use an outreach method, like depending on, what niche, as I said, if I started a brand new agency from tomorrow, one where it's direct and it's outbound, and as I said, it's a numbers game, but fucking works. It will get you the means that you need, especially in the first 3-6 months to really survive and thrive. So looms, cold email, cold calling, LinkedIn is in doing outbound LinkedIn prospecting and messaging, and we're gonna get into all that very shortly. So I would do that. That to me, that's really that's outbound, right? But then while I was doing that, in any case, I would always build a niche personal brand and use a profile funnel, right? Because as I said, that's something that takes 6 months to implement. But once you have it dialed down, I mean, as I said, it's really the gift that keeps on giving. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about some of the platforms you can do this on. Now, I'll be using Facebook, as in like having a Facebook personal profile as the exemplar. But, to me, these tactics really apply to all platforms. Facebook, as I said, this is definitely the gold standard in regards to profile funnels. It's very easy to find ideal prospects in groups, and soon you get high quality leads actually reaching out to you personally. LinkedIn. Now there's a behemoth module on this, so I won't touch on this too much here. This platform, I will say, unfortunately, has turned into a bit of a cesspool with all the automations, but it's still powerful if you can build a niche personal brand on there. Then we have Instagram. Definitely inferior to Facebook, but still a very powerful place to build a niche personal brand, connect with people, post content / client wins, and really go from there. Last one is Twitter. Now, I honestly didn't realize until recently what a gold mine Twitter is. Definitely a place where you can build a micro niche brand and bring in a bunch of leads. So ladies and gentlemen, this is available for download below. Really, this is all profile funnel comes down to. Number 1, post content and make the market aware of who you are. Number 2, engage and connect with prospects. Number 3, massage a conversation into a meeting, okay? Like know how to, once you engage and connect with prospects, how do you then move it from a conversation into a meeting and get a meeting booked inside the calendar. So ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the first step in building a profile funnel. The first step in the process is optimizing your Facebook profile. As I said, I'm going to use Facebook as the exemplar for today, but you can kind of carry these same principles into Twitter, LinkedIn. Well, LinkedIn, I have actual like specific tailored training for that, and that'll be coming up in the next few modules. But as I said, you can take the same sort of principles and apply it to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc., etc. Anyways, step number 1 is post content and make the market aware of who you are. In order to do that, you want to remove any Facebook friends from high school, college, colleagues, etc., etc., so you have a clean Facebook. Some of the old posts are valuable as they show that it's not an entirely brand new account. So for example, it is nice to have photos back from 2016. So that way when prospects reach out to you, they're not like, oh, this is kind of weird. Like this is a brand new account from last week. So old photos are actually good. But as I said, just remove, like, do people really still use fucking Facebook like to connect with people and stay in I don't know. For me, the other thing you can do is you can create a brand new Facebook if you really want to, and then use that brand new Facebook to connect with all of your old friends, right? Because they'll know who you are and this and that, and then you can use your old one as said for business. Next, remove any photos that aren't flattering in the biz world, drinking photos, partying photos, etc., etc. I mean, in all fairness, if you have a drink in hand and you're at a nice party and you're dressed well, or like, it looks like it's, you still want to have some personality, you don't want to look bland or just like a totally business person or this or that. Like you still want some personality in your content. Third is make your bio explain what you do and a CTA to book in a demo call, request an audit, whatever your angle is for a meeting. And number 4, just use a regular banner. Don't use anything too salesy because we don't want to scare people away when they look at our profile. Okay, now once we get to 2,000 friends and we have a stronger social presence, then it makes sense to add a banner. All right, this is really important because from day one, if you're just building up your profile and you don't really like, you don't want to be too aggressive with things. You don't want someone to come to your profile and be like, this person doesn't get much engagement. They don't really have much going on in their profile, but then it's like book in a free call, direct on the banner. And this is stuff that, as I said, you can do later down the line when they come on your page and you have this banner and it screams out a little bit more, but then also you have, tons and tons of content and people are responding and there's comment stacks, which we'll get into in a second what that is. There's comment stacks and your engagement is really on point. Now, once you've done all this and your profile is presentable and ready to start posting, now let's get into some of the content schedule. Now, when it comes to posting content, the best thing that you can do is have a content calendar, right? Or have some sort of schedule, that you post on these days, etc., etc. Now, just really post whatever you want. And when I say whatever you want, I'll give you some examples of, different posts that you can use and, you can have in your toolbox. When I say post whenever you want, I mean in the confines of what I'm going to show you right here and the guidelines I'm going to give you. But once you get to 300 friends, right, you really don't have that much of a massive following. So at that stage, you just want to post client wins if you have any questions, little testimonials. As I said, if you have any of those, little screenshots, stuff that's quite punchy, right? You don't want to post like super long content. You want to save that, those really banger value posts for when you've actually built up a big audience, because I said, new people, they're not really going to go and scroll back months to see that. Now, as I said, once you get to 1,000 friends, and this is 1,000 friends that are actually, basically ideal prospects. That's when you want to start committing time to posting lengthier posts, lengthier testimonials, maybe even do an interview with one of your clients and post it directly on your Facebook profile, as I said, or Twitter, Instagram, whatever medium that you're using. And just some guidelines: from 0 to 300 friends, post 1 to 2 times a week. We just want to have some decent content on there, so that way when someone comes to our profile, they're like, okay, yeah, this person is solid, right? But we also don't want to go heavy on the content. From 300 to 1,000 Facebook friends, we want to be posting anywhere from 3 to 5 times per week. Then when we get to 1,000 Facebook friends, that's when we really want to be posting every single day, because we'll have the engagement, we'll have the audience, and as I said, really that's the stage of the journey where you're starting to build a bit of as weird as this sounds, a bit of a cult following where people actively look forward to your posts. Now let's talk about the type of posts, because rather than giving you an exact schedule of what to post on what day, because then it's like, it's funny because then like there'll literally be a swarm of agency owners all posting the same kind of posts on the same day. It'll almost be like universal. What is Monday actually? I think Monday is Universal Chess Day. I think so. Anyways, point is, like, it would be funny. So instead, I'm going to give you some frameworks and you can mix and match. And maybe in one week, you actually just go really heavy on one kind of post. And the other week, you kind of tone it down, or, really just mix and match and use your intuition. So first things first is client win. Now, this is pretty self-explanatory. You post a win from one of your clients, and then you've got a poll. So you throw up a poll on Facebook profile and just ask a question, right? Anything where you're just getting people's opinions, a question, what they think of a topic, etc., etc. Then you've got a value post. This is something long and substantial where you share some value with your audience. Then we've got commentary. Okay, so share your view on something. Keep it punchy. Ask your audience what they think of it. Okay. And really, this is where you're sparking a lot of discussion, but this could be literally on anything from cryptocurrency to an opinion on like something even dumb. Like, you can spark a debate about 2 different kinds of cereal. This is really what makes an engaged audience and it shows people your personality, right? Like if you're into watches, like for example, me, I'm into watches, I'm into cigars, I'm into fashion, I'm into a lot of other stuff as well, film photography, biohacking, like really a wide sweep of things, but like I pull those interests into my own personal brand. Obviously, my personal brand is for Gray Agency, not for the agency. In fact, my personal brand does actually negatively impacts me in the agency because I'm on YouTube like, hey, yeah, you just hire a contractor and use contractor arbitrage. And then, I'm trying to charge my clients like 15, 20K billables. There's a little bit of a conflict of interest there. But as I said, the reason I say this is because I've been able to build such a strong brand because I tie in all of these other interests. So I said, don't just keep it businessy. If you have a bit of, really what I'm saying is have a bit of fun with your personal brand. You can spot those, the people, because they've taken one personal branding course and, they're posting a bunch of like, and as I said, this is the issue when the course creator is like, hey, on this day you post this and here is your content calendar and this and that. Like, no, just mix it up. And some weeks, if you just want to do commentary posts and then, for the entire week, you just want to shoot the shit and just talk about random topics that you find interesting, that's totally cool. And one week, if you've got more space at your agency and you want to go, super heavy on sort of promotion posts, then maybe you do that for 1 week. And then for 3 weeks, as I said, you just go back to lighthearted or really long value posts and just giving value to your audience, growing your audience, this and that. And that 1 week, maybe you lost a client that week. As I said, you can go a lot heavier on the promotions. And the last one is comment stack. So this is where you actually create some sort of free resource for your audience and you tell people to comment a specific word if they want it. Now, this builds what's known as a comment stack. So basically, each time someone comments, it builds up this chain and it also sends people a notification. So then there's that social proof aspect of you can see all the people commenting. Like, let's say you're like, let's say I was doing a comment stack for the agency. I wanted someone to comment alchemy. You see all these fucking people, commenting alchemy and everyone's getting a notification about it and they can see all these other people that want this free resource. So that's what's known as a comment stack. And it is a very, very powerful tool. Now, keep in mind, as I said, you can post multiple of the same type of post each week. Now, another little piece of advice is that I would definitely recommend that you check out some Twitter accounts to see how people post punchy, engaging stuff. Twitter, it's because there's a really short character limit. It trains you to, post short, punchy stuff. At the time of recording this, I don't use Twitter. I just have some account on there. No one knows what it is, and I just use it to look at some other people's tweets, and I find them very, very interesting. So you want to make sure when it comes to your posts that 80 to 90% of it is value, humor, wins, and sort of easy to digest content. And then 10 to 20% is heavy hitting call to action content. And last thing I want you to remember is you should post some of this content, right, that you're creating, post it in Facebook groups where your ideal prospects reside. Just make sure you don't do client wins or strong call to action posts. Now, here's another piece of advice from you coming from, as I said, luckily now with our own custom platform, we don't have any of these issues, et cetera, et cetera. But people in the past had used Facebook groups that we had for various different reasons inside of Great Agency, whether that be program or free group, et cetera, et cetera. And it's so easy to fucking spot a value post. And people were so lazy where they would just take their value post that they did on their personal profile and just post in the group on the same day. And it's like, this is, you're asking for a moderator to kick you out, right? Like, it's just so obvious, okay? So here's a bit of advice from me. Definitely go ahead and, let's say you're at a point where you have over 1,000 Facebook friends, definitely go ahead, okay? And every single day on, not only inside of your personal Facebook, go ahead and post in, because here's the thing, you might have a list of 10 or 15 groups and you might, post in them over time. People start to get to know you in these free groups, et cetera, et cetera. And you might notice that, hey, the best leads are coming from, 3 or 4 different groups. Then you stick to those 3 or 4. And every single day post in those, but just don't post the same thing that you posted that day. Go back and post something that you asked 2 weeks ago, right? And the other thing that really makes it very obvious, right, is if you post the same thing in every single group. So every day, let's say you've got 1 personal post and then you've got 3 posts that you do in public Facebook groups. You only need to create 1 post for that day and then just go back and take one that you did 7 days ago and post that in one group, take one that you did, 17 days ago, post that in Facebook group 2, and take one that you did 3 days ago and post that in Facebook group 3. So that way it's different on each platform, right? And as I said, when you're inside of Facebook groups, you really need to sort of metaphorically kiss the ring of whoever owns that group, right? Like, you need to be very respectful of them and you need to know that, hey, at any moment they could kick me out, and that's down to their own accord. So, make sure, potentially even shout out the owner of the group, because you can see who it is, for creating such an amazing community, engaged, blah, blah. You've met so many interesting people. It's so nice to just connect. Like, you know what I mean? Like, really sort of massage their ego. As I said, make sure you're engaging in there outside of just your sort of daily posts and stuff like that. So people really get to know who you are. They know your name, et cetera, et cetera. And this is really how you start to build a niche personal brand. So step number 2, and I've kind of already talked a little bit about this, is engage and connect with prospects. Now on Facebook, you can add up to 10 people per day, but accept as many friend requests as you like. So outbound, you can send 10 friend requests per day. I recommend you start off with 5 for the first week or 2 and then just kind of snowball from there. Okay, don't go straight in 10 per day, especially if you have a brand new account. But as I said, you can actually accept as many friends as you like. Now, in order to find ideal prospects and also have people start reaching out to you, the process is pretty simple. Number 1, find 8 to 10 groups with your ideal prospect. You might have to get a little creative here. Now, bear in mind that some groups won't let you in unless you're a chiropractor, gym owner, et cetera, et cetera. So getting inside the groups will actually be the hardest bit. Once you're in, life is a lot easier. Next, once you're in, post content a few times per week. And I said, I already just went on a bit of a rant about this, but make sure none of it is salesy, otherwise the admins will likely kick you out. Then outside of that, as I mentioned, don't just then go ahead and, post content and that's it. Spend 45 minutes to 60 minutes per day engaging with people in the group, giving some words of encouragement, giving some words of advice, et cetera, et cetera. And then lastly, pick out the best 8 to 10 prospects a day and send Facebook requests to them. Now, when it comes to step number 3 with the profile funnel, we want to massage a conversation into a meeting, okay? Now, this step is really where you need to use more critical thinking on your part, okay? Because once someone has accepted your friend request or you've accepted someone else's friend request, put them in your CRM as a lead. Now, I recommend you wait a few days until you reach out. Otherwise, it just comes off as way too intense. And here's the thing, once they're in your CRM, you won't forget to reach out anyways. Okay, so once you add someone or someone adds you, don't just reach out straight away and be like, hey, so nice to connect. And you just look slimy and salesy, okay? Wait a few days, maybe even wait a week. And because they're in your CRM, you're not going to forget, okay? So just keep engaging, keep going on, keep living your life. The main thing is someone just wants to feel great energy from you. And great energy is you're posting awesome content, you're engaging in groups, right? You added them or they added you. You don't even message them. You wait a week, right? You wait a few days, a week, maybe even 2 weeks, mix it up, right? And then you hit them with a message. Now, speaking of hitting them with a message, the best way to reach out is to mention the commonality of the group, because obviously that's something that you have in common. You can ask them how long they've been in the group, or you can mention a specific post that they did in that group and be like, oh, I thought that was super insightful. Or once again, I just want to send you a personal congratulations about such and such win. Okay. You can ask them a question, or if they went ahead and responded to your comment stack, obviously that's a very easy leeway in. You actually give them the thing that you promised in the comment stack. Now, when it comes to all the information that we talked about inside of this specific module, you can find a plug and play down below, and that has all these step-by-step written instructions. Now, action step for today is I want you to go to Google Calendar and block out 3 hours tomorrow in your calendar to follow through with all of the preliminary profile funnel tasks, all the information and everything that I've given you in the plug and play. And ladies and gentlemen, on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this module. I'll catch you guys in the next one.